Welcome to Subramani. One question which never seems to find an answer is should I invest a lump sum or should I do an SIP, right? So SIP is what we call the dollar cost averaging or the rupee cost averaging. You put that money in installments, right? Whatever amount you have, whether you have 2 lakhs or 2 crores or 20 crores, you decide whether to put the money in a lump sum or whether to put the money in installments. Here I am talking only of STP. SIP is something which you do simply because you have the money coming in every month. So why does a person invest every month? Because he earns a salary or earns a profit every month. So he or she invests every month. I am talking of STP where you say, okay, I got 12 lakhs to invest. Should I put 12 lakhs today or should I put 12 lakhs over 1 year as 1 lakh per month? That's a question which we have to answer. Now, when I tell people that you can put a lump sum, it depends also on the amount of money that we are talking about vis-a-vis the portfolio. So somebody with a 4 crore portfolio, when you say I have to invest 4.5 lakhs, then the question is not does it really matter whether you do an SIP or whether you do a lump sum? As a percentage of the corpus that you already have, is it a significant percentage? Second, if you say that you should only do an SIP, which means today if you have got 4 crores worth of assets, you should remove it and again do an SIP, right? That's what you should do because you think SIP is the only way to go. That is wrong because the media has spoken too much about the SIP or but there's not so much talk about the STP. SIP makes sense, yes, because you're earning every month, you will invest every month. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking of people who have a lump sum. Should they invest in a lump sum or should they invest it in installments into the fund? And if they do invest it in installments, should it be over 1 year, 2 years or 3 years? On what will this answer depend? Is it just the same answer for everybody? Is it true that somebody who wants to invest, suppose he has a 3 crore portfolio and he wants to invest 30 lakhs and he wants to invest only for 2 years, which equity fund will you do an SGP or a lump sum? To me, in my head, I will not touch it at all. I would keep it in a liquid fund or I would keep it in an ultra short bond fund, right? That's what I would do. So there is no question of where that has to be invested. We are talking of a significant portion of your net worth being invested. Should it be a lump sum? So how do you invest? When I talk of an SIP, which is again a rupee cost averaging or a dollar cost averaging, please remember it is actually a lump sum every month because you are not keeping money on the side saying I will invest this later. That is what is called an STP. Here every month you are earning an X amount and 10,000 rupees is the SIP that you can do, and that is what you are doing. So you have 10,000, you are investing 10,000. So I would call this as every month you are investing a lump sum. It looks like an SIP because you are putting the same amount every month for a long period of time, but that is a choice that you have made, and after some time that 10,000 could become 12,000, could become 13,000, whatever, right? The amount doesn't matter. The question is, at that point in time, are you saying, no, I don't think I want to put all my money, I will put only 1,000 and 9,000 I'll keep on the sideline, I will invest as and when I want? No, you're not trying to do market timing. You are saying, now I have this much and I will invest. So similarly, let us say you are doing an SIP of 10,000 every month. Now suddenly you have got a lump sum of 1.5 lakhs. Would you do this 1.5 lakhs as a lump sum? Would you do it as a STP? Would you do it as for in 1 year? Would you do it over 2 years? What will be your attitude towards this money? That is what we are trying to talk here. Other conditions remaining same, if you have a lump sum and you can invest a lump sum and you can do it as a STP, very clearly the lump sum will outperform the STP because in the STP less money is being put to use as an investment compared to a lump sum. However, this answer could be dramatically wrong because just as soon as you invest this money, the market can fall 30%. Then you would feel, oh my God, 30% of my capital is gone. So the question is also your mental makeup on how you want to invest and what is again the significance of the amount in your whole life. So if it is bigger than your existing corpus, let's say you got 3 crores and somebody gave you 10 crores, then the question is, will you mentally and physically be able to invest that whole 10 crores lump sum into 4 schemes or 5 schemes? It's extremely doubtful. So you are better off keeping the money in a liquid fund and doing an STP, because not because what the market will do, it's simply because what will happen to your mental state. Because if you put in 10 crores and the market falls 30%, you would have lost 3 crores, which is a big sum of money, because that is what you currently have in total, right? So it is you have to check your mental makeup, because a lump sum will definitely give better returns, but if there is a market fall immediately, that lump sum is going to look very foolish. The question is, how do you adjust your mind to that? And also the question is, how long is this money going to get invested? Let's say you're 35 years of age, or you're 28 years of age, and you want to keep this for the next 32 years. Honestly, does it matter whether you do an STP or whether you do a lump sum? It doesn't really matter, because even if you were to do an STP, you will do it for 12 months. You will not, you are very unlikely to do it for 36 months or 48 months or things like that. STP for such a long period is very rarely done. Historically, people do STP only for a year, but you could also do it for 2 years, or you could do it for 3 years. When you do it for 3 years, the underperformance will be greater, and obviously for 1 year the underperformance will be lesser than if you do it for 3 years. But the question is again the mental makeup of the investor and the advisor. Will the advisor have the guts to say, here is 10x your net worth, please put it as a lump sum, right? Will you be able to give that advice? That's the question to ask. As a DIY, will you be able to sign checks worth 50 lakhs and 1 crore to invest because suddenly you have got a windfall, right? So the question is, how do you handle all those things, the psychology of it, and being sure that there will be underperformance simply because in the long range, in the long run, the market goes up. However, if the year in which you have done a lump sum, if the market has come down, you will feel, oh my God, I should have waited for some more time. That guilt feeling will always be there. Therefore, an STP helps you reduce your guilt also, saying, okay, the market has gone up, I have at least invested 3 lakhs. The market has gone down, oh, I've invested only 3 lakhs, I've still not invested the other 9 lakhs. At least that it's more in your mind than what happens in the market. Market, of course, will do what it has to do, but if you are clear that you want this money over a long period of time, and you can take the churn and the standard deviation which happens in your portfolio, then you should invest in a lump sum. Over long periods of time, if you were to draw charts and compare the average costing, the averaging, the rupee cost averaging or the dollar cost averaging would definitely underperform the lump sum. So if you take long periods of time and do an analysis, very clearly it is your lump sum which will give you better returns than SIP or an STP where you do rupee cost averaging, right? So the question is, are you mentally ready to see a big fluctuation? For example, you've got 3 crore net worth, you've got 30 crores coming in. If that 30 crore falls by just 10%, which happens regularly in the equity markets, it means you're wiping out 3 crores. Are you mentally ready for that? That's a question which you have to answer. There is enough research in US to show that the rupee cost averaging always underperforms the lump sum in 96% of the cases, and it happens in all asset classes. Whether it is gold or whether it is equity, it doesn't really matter. Across all asset classes, the performance of the DCA is worse than that of lump sum, that is LS, right? So now it is your choice of getting your mind ready to accept that it is okay for me to invest big amounts of money in a fund because I've got 20-year waiting period. The other reason to do a lump sum is if you're doing some multi-asset fund or a pension fund where it is, or a balance advantage fund where it is a fund manager who is allocating between the asset classes. Of course, you'll know how much, but they do it by a formula. There is no reason at all for you to do a SIP or an STP into it. Yes, SIP makes sense because you're getting money on a monthly basis, but an STP into such a fund makes no sense. You might as well put a lump sum because the fund manager is going to invest in equity in debt and cash and gold, right? He is going to take the call of how much where. So when the market is going up for gold, he may be buying, he may be actually selling gold, right? So all these possibilities are there, but the proof of American research is the rupee cost averaging underperforms the lump sum in 96% of the cases. One question which people ask is, what about the risk in investing in a lump sum? What happens if the market comes down? The flip side to it is, what happens if the market goes up? Because historically you believe that over 70, 80, 100 years market goes up. So how are you sure how the next 12 months is going to span out, right? We don't know. So you could even, let us say a person has got 10 crores for investing, 5 crores you do an STP and 5 crores you do immediate, right? So that there is no great regret if the market goes up too fast. So you could do a combination of all this, because I don't think there is one single answer which says when. Yes, SIP could have been very useful during the 2008 crisis. It could have been very useful when in a falling market it would have helped you acquire more shares, more units of the mutual fund, right? So there are advantages on both sides of the spectrum. It is for you to decide how you want to invest. Thank you.